Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
Welcome back, race fans, to Road to Indy TV Live. I'm your host, Parker Thompson, and I'm here with Series Development Director Rob Howden. Rob, there is no better way to get ready for an Indy Lights race than to hear those Indy cars on track.
Yeah, I like it right now. Morning warm-up for IndyCar rolling out here. Again, I'm loving the fact that we've got two of our Indy Lights graduates on the front row, Colton Herta and Jack Harvey. What a great testament to what we're doing here with the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. But you're right, people start streaming in. The fans are here. They're rolling by us here in the Cooper Tires stage. IndyCar's on the racetrack. But like you said, we're just, kind of counting down right now for Indy Lights Race 2.
Yeah, Indy cars are giving me goosebumps. Indy Lights are giving me goosebumps. It's going to be a good end to our day. Indy Lights Race 2, we see a flip of the front row. So Kyle Kirkwood goes out and dominates Race 1. But David Malucas, I'm not going to brag, but I called it back at Barber Motorsports Park. I think this kid's got a lot of confidence. I had him on this morning. Literally, he was walking by the Cooper Tire stage, and I'm like, David, you got to save me here. I need some time to kill. Can you get on with me?
Yeah.
He came right on. Didn't even, I would say half the drivers in this paddock would go, listen, I got a race coming up, man.
Well, here's the thing. We watch these kids develop, right, from 14, 15, 16 years of age. The gap between the last time we were here at the start of 2020 when David Malucas was the quickest driver in that lone practice session here before COVID shut things down, it seems to me like he has matured so much over that period of time. It really blows me away. He's just got this air of confidence about him right now. Of course, I think the victory in round 2 at Barber Motorsports Park helping that out in a big way. But just the overall HMD team, Parker, they are really strong. We're at Barber. We knew it was going to be a more level playing field here, right? They tested quite a bit at Barber. Of course, Kyle Kirkwood, great yesterday. But Malucas starting from the pole, he'll bolt out front. But again, we looked at the grid before we came live. He's surrounded by Andretti Autosport drivers.
Well, and before we touch on, obviously, David Malucas getting the track record, we go back to this Andretti team.
Yeah.
We watched yesterday. I felt bad for David. I've been in that spot, actually, with Indy Pro 2000 going up against Juncos, where you've got 3 of these green cars all around you and you don't know what to do and you're on a single-car team. David faced that yesterday, and I talked with him. He's like, man, we couldn't get away from him,
And listen, you talk about that when you get on the wrong side of the line, you're always trying to chase back, get yourself back in there, and they literally swallowed him up, like you said. I think he was making a move to the inside. He got challenged from the outside. Then Devlin DiFrancesco tossed the car to the bottom as well. They were essentially 3 wide going into 1. He just got moved backwards. And there was just no – Linus wasn't there to help him out. There was no wingman for David. But starting pole, he's the guy that's going to get the jump. He's the guy that's likely going to lead out of turn number 1 if he does his job. That's going to change things around. Kirkwood will slot into second. It
is, but you've got some Andretti guys there on the second row. I mean, Devlin DiFrancesco, he's known for being pretty spicy on race starts.
Are any of the Andretti guys not aggressive? Like all 4 of these guys.
I have to say Kirkwood is calculated. Kirkwood is aggressive.
But he's still aggressive.
He's calculated.
Yeah,
but
right.
I wouldn't put it past both Devlin and Daniel to be really fighting for that front row. You know, Daniel wants his first win. Devlin wants his first win.
They all do, right? Because Kyle Kirkwood's the first guy out of the gate and Andretti to get the win. He brings the number 1 trophy back to Michael Andretti. He's like, okay, I'm the first one to draw blood here. They're all going to want to add on to the win total here for Andretti Autosport and Indy Lights. I think that Devlin, with the mistake he made yesterday, overcooking it into 13 and 14 to go off. Let's see if that plays on his mental side, or has he been able to press the reset button and come back?
I think he'll be able to press the reset button pretty quick. Rob, did you get a chance to talk to Devlin at all? I mean,
I didn't. I was running around so much, no.
He didn't lock up. That was what was really strange about that particular incident, is he went off the track. Now, I talked with David. He said that the exit of 14, if you get loose there and go off the line, he said it's just like ice. But I never saw a lockup.
I wonder what happened then.
I wonder what happened.
I haven't had a chance. Maybe we'll try to get him afterwards. We'll see. Let's go back a little farther as well, because I think 2 drivers really, I want to say, just really hoping for a good result here. Alex Peroni and Toby Sowery, both those drivers starting on row number 3. Peroni, of course, with Carlin Racing alongside Christian Bogle. This is a track that he likes. Peroni is a kind of a street race guy, right? Multiple wins in Formula Renault at both Pau and at Monaco. For him, this plays to his his kind of strong point here as being a street guy, and the level playing field allowing Carlin to get back online.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with that. I think Peroni's just going to continue to hit his stride.
Yeah.
He's been battling for that, just on the outskirts of the podium. But I think as we see Carlin get warmed up back on their U.S. tour, I think they're going to be pretty strong. A surprise, Juncos Racing, and particularly Toby Sowery, I thought with their limited testing they were going to be weak in Barber. I thought they were going to come here and really show their strength. Unfortunately, not the case.
Yeah, and talking to Toby, complaining a little bit about some instability in braking, and of course that's going to take away a lot of lap times if you don't have confidence getting deep onto the brakes. Yesterday, there was some kind of an issue, I believe, with the turbo system, just something very small they were able to repair, get him back out on track. What they did, though, was they took the second half, those last 8 laps, really pulled the front cover off, the rear cover. They made some adjustments to the dampers in the front, actually swapped out springs in the back. So they kind of sacrificed that session and then turned around and came back to be able to make sure they'd be better for today. We'll see if it pays off. Starting 6th, might as well get a better run.
I couldn't agree more either. I mean, you've got to get whatever you can. These weekends are so condensed. You only get 1 practice session. In Indy Lights' case, it had a couple red flags. Yeah. They really only got 20 minutes of green running, and that doesn't allow you a lot of time. We'll switch gears and talk. Doesn't allow a lot of time. A guy like Linus Lundqvist, never driven here before, never really driven on this type of street circuit, a raw, walls everywhere street circuit. Interesting to see, so strong at Barber, comes here. I thought practice, okay, he's maybe doing his tire thing, right? He's got this real unique way of warming up his tires. I'm like, all right, well, warming up his tires.
Yeah. And so you just maybe thought he would have been more?
I thought for sure.
I think I go a little bit the other way, just knowing the fact that the Kyle Kirkwood's been here so many times before. David Malucas, some of these guys that have been around here before, I'm not surprised that they've done well. Of course, Andretti's always had a fantastic setup as well. HMD coming in, they don't have a lot of time here as a team. But even for Linus, I think strong, where kind of that mid-pack, kind of 6th, 7th yesterday. If he's able to move his way up into the top 5, I call it a win for him, honestly, before we head to Indianapolis.
Well, the only thing I'll say is we compare him to another Swede that's doing quite well in IndyCar, Rosenqvist. And I mean, when he made his Lights debut on street courses, it was lights out.
Yeah, very similar, right? He had a lot of success at Macau and other tracks like that. Felix was a guy that was really, really good in the street course. But remember, he was running for Bellardi Auto Racing. They always have a strong setup, or had a strong setup, no longer in the series. Really, really quick in all the street circuits. Aaron Telitz was able to win in Toronto as well, that one-off that he came back.
For sure. But it's interesting to see a guy like Linus. We haven't got to see his racecraft very much, right?
That's true. He's been out front.
He's been out
running
front.
second. You're right. That's very true.
So now to see him, battling for 5th, 6th, I seen him miss more corners in race 1 of Indy Lights than I've ever seen him miss
okay.
in his U.S. tour.
I know he's having fun. Like he said, that was some of the feedback. He said he absolutely loves this racetrack. But if you're telling me that potentially missing some of the apex, of course, I'm down on pit lane, can't quite see as much. Maybe he's got to tighten things up. Is that something? Have you got a chance to talk with him at all?
A little bit. The biggest thing for him is comfortability.
Yeah.
He's trying to get his championship rolling. He's still in the lead of the championship, right? And he's going, hey, St. Pete, it's the only course I really haven't been at.
Yeah, that's true. And think about this, too. Kyle Kirkwood with that DNF. A little bit of breathing room for Linus, right? He can have a decent weekend here, and he'll still be okay. Kyle Kirkwood getting the victory. Even if he comes back with another win, it'll tighten up. He might take the point lead. But Linus has that room, that breathing room with that issue at Barber.
Well, and listen, I don't know the financial situations of all the drivers, but I know personally every time I came to a street course, I don't want to get dark with you, but at the same time, for our fans at home, there's some drivers in the field that know that if they crack up a car during this race weekend, it's going to affect the rest of their championship. They might not be in a car, or they might not get that a couple test days at the end of the year. So you've got to, you're playing this this politics with yourself, right?
That's true.
You know what you have for your war chest. You know when you have to spend it and when you don't want to. Don't take any unnecessary risks. The one thing on the road, Tinny, with the way the points pay, if you're sweeping weekends, that's what wins championships,
points,
right?
Yeah.
Fastest lap, most laps led, qualifying on pole, and the race win, maximum points. When you look at that, that's what wins it, not the 5th or the 6th. Really,
enough.
5th or 6th, unless it comes down to those last couple points, which we have seen, doesn't matter as much. Sometimes that test at the end of the year without crash damage is the way to go.
The thing about St. Petersburg, you want to come up to speed slowly, right? You have to get to the edge. You have to go over the edge to find out where the edge is. You can do that at a Barber. You can do that at a Road America. Here, you have to slowly work yourself up. If indeed everything's worked correctly, Linus Lundqvist may be now running to that half an inch from the wall that he wasn't doing earlier in the weekend.
Well, and no test time here, right?
That's it.
We show up, we get ready to rock, and we go for it.
Alex Peroni, same thing. Alex Peroni, a guy that I think that we're going to see go good here. He's the driver I want to watch. I think he may be able to make it to the podium. That's my hope.
I think he could too. And you know what? What a personality he is. Florida fits his vibe perfectly. He's a fun-loving guy. Let's get to know him more in this next interview. We are here for a driver profile with one of the most anticipated drivers in Indy Lights, Alex Peroni from FIA F3. Alex, it's great to have you here in the U.S. First off, let's talk about your move. Originally from Australia, now you've moved to the U.S. Where?
Yeah, no, it's cool to be here. Loving the US so far. So I've moved near Carlin, where Carlin is in Florida, at Delray Beach. So getting used to the climate, hot all the time. I mean, it's already in the 30s and it's not even summer, so I'm a bit worried, but nah, so far so good.
So is this your first time racing then in America?
Yeah, first time even being in America as well. So it was a bit of a culture shock the first couple of weeks, but yeah, as I said, I'm loving it. The people really cool. The car's awesome to drive. The tracks here are insane, especially Barber. So yeah, it's cool.
Awesome. Well, for those of you at home, he's 21 years old, living the dream, obviously being an Aussie. I'm sure the accent helps on the Florida beaches. What are you most looking forward to over here racing in the U.S.?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's so many new things. There's so many new things to get used to, so many new things to try. And I think, as I said before, the tracks most likely, like Barber's just amazing. I'm really keen for the street circuits. And I think the coolest thing is there's a big variety in tracks here. Europe, they're all a bit similar in ways. They're all very flat, same tarmac, same curves. But here you got, places like Detroit, which is so bumpy. And then you got like Indy GP and then Mid-Ohio. So I'm really keen to try all the tracks out for sure. Awesome.
And goal for 2021?
Goal is just to learn as much as possible and just do the best I can. I mean, like everyone, the aim is to win. You got to be in it to win it. I mean, that's why we're all competing. If you're not there to win, what's the point? But, we know there's a lot to learn, a lot of new things to do. So we'll just do our best and see where we end up.
It was great chatting to one of the friendliest guys on the road to Indy paddock. Alex, I wish you all the success this weekend.
Thanks, Parker. Thanks for having me.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Race car drivers are always looking for a leg up. And with modern day racing at an all-time high for cost, the best way to do that is through sim racing. I'm here with Greg DeGeorgis, owner of Symmetric Labs, and he's going to take us behind the scenes on what it's like to run a high-performance simulation. Greg, what have we got here? How did you get into sim racing, and what are you offering for the Road to Indy athletes?
Yeah, so we really offer drivers a head start on the racing weekend to take the first bite off of their learning curve to get prepped on at races and everything. My background is as a data engineer. I am not a driver or a driver coach, but I've worked with a lot of championship-winning teams, drivers, coaches, and efforts to get drivers prepared. So I know what it takes to win.
Take me through the process of becoming a Symmetric Labs customer.
It's really simple. We offer unlimited packages to drivers where they come in for a flat fee and they drive as much as they want for the entire race weekend. So there's no counting a clock or anything like that. To get the most out of it or anything. We'll take multiple appointments throughout the race week, and we usually front load on load in and practice day, and then we'll usually do morning warm-ups before qualifying into a race day to get drivers fully ready to go. So at 8 o'clock in the morning before an early qualifying or something like that, they're ready to turn really fast laps.
What do you view as the biggest jump these drivers are getting when they get on the sim? For me, when I get on the sim, it's usually for track learning, but I'm sure they're learning a lot more than just how to go around the track. What are they learning on the race weekends, and what are you teaching them?
Yeah, so like you said, a lot of what people assume with simulators is that all they can learn is new tracks. That's true. It's definitely a big part of it. But we can also teach drivers to get really comfortable. I have excellent models of all three of the Road to Indy cars that I developed in-house with all the logger, tire, manufacturer data, and a lot of feedback from real drivers so they feel as real as possible. So with really, really good car and track models, we can actually work on even focus conditioning with these drivers where they know the car, they know the track, and we're going to let them run in the sim for an hour with the heat on, all over their gear. I'm going to intentionally try to distract them, force them into mistakes, and then like really try to work on their entire race stint or their stint performance.
Let's get to the real meat and potatoes though, which is the sim. This thing is gorgeous. Now, what simulator are you using?
So this is the CXE Simulations Motion Pro 2. It's about a $100,000 sim. It's really the best sim that money can buy that also fits in an 8-foot wide trailer.
Wow. Okay, well, I can't wait to get on it. It looks unbelievable. For the second round of the Road to Indy Championships, we are here in sunny Florida to take battle on the streets of St. Petersburg. This unique street circuit is 14 turns, 1.8 miles, and it's enclosed by concrete walls. It is one of the toughest street circuits that the Road to Indy drivers will have to face this year, as it is not only as wide as an airport runway down Albert Whitted Airport, it's as narrow as a crosswalk as we get into the streets of St. Petersburg and we come down here down Bayshore Drive. As drivers barrel down Albert Whitted Runway, they reach speeds of over 150 miles per hour as they somehow have to get the car stopped from a track as wide as a runway to as narrow as a sidewalk in turns 1 and 2. We move on to turn 4, one of the biggest brake zones on the track, and the drivers will have to face the crown in the road as they meet the heart of downtown St. Petersburg and the tricky streets. The next notable corners are turns 8 and 9, which set the run back down Bayshore Drive in towards turn 10. As you exit turn 10, you're almost home, but drivers can't get distracted by all of the yachts in the marina. Turns 11 and 12, one of the most tricky. It's flat out, but it's hairy. It's right on the edge of concrete versus machine. Turns 13 and 14 set up your most important run, no pun intended, as you get back onto the Albert Whitted runway and cross the start-finish line here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Drivers trying to get to the podium was absolutely epic. We saw passes all around the racetrack. In fact, a drag race to the line. Reese Gold able to just nip Hunter McElroy for the final position on the podium. Gold's teammate at Juncos Racing, Manuel Suleiman, grabbing second, but it was Christian Rasmussen, like we said, last year's USF 2000 champion, scoring his first Indy Pro 2000 win. He's trying to win the scholarship because if you win Indy Lights, or Indy Pro rather, you end up on this grid here, Indy Lights. The scholarship gets you into the program just one step away from the NTT IndyCar Series. And again, 13 drivers are set to go here. Those competitors right now getting the Hans devices installed, getting the suits zipped up, the helmets buckled on as well. Teams get ready to bring their drivers into their race cars as again, we are just about 4 minutes away to the call to fire up the engines for what will be a tremendous run. Those of you maybe new to the program, the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, bringing drivers in from karting and other forms of the sport. A focused run from USF 2000 to Indy Pro 2000, Indy Pro 2000 to Indy Lights. Scholarships along the way, the champion getting fully supported to move to that next level. Unprecedented in the world of motorsports. This Road to Indy has developed so many of the stars you'll see here today in the NTT IndyCar Series. As I said before, 13 drivers set to go here right now. Let's have a look at the grid of Indy Lights racers who are about to go on track for you today. Starting in the 13th spot, rookie driver out of Louisiana, 2 years of USF 2000 racing. He'll start 13th. Christian Bogle, the number 7 for Carlin and Che Howard Driver Development's had a solid race weekend thus far. Moving down to row number 6 on the outside, Nikita Lastishkin, Russian-born, living in Los Angeles, ran all the way through the Road to Indy, and he finds himself here living a lifelong dream of being able to run in Indy Lights. Lastishkin for HMD Motorsports, the rookie in the number 59, starting 12th. Inside of that row, last year's Indy Pro 2000 champion, continuing to get better and better with every lap he turns in this race car. Stingray Robb from Payette, Idaho, in the number 2. Juncos Racing Machine will start in the 11th position. Rowing into the top 10 now on the outside. Great effort so far. This team came together about 45 days ago. Antonio Sarabali in the number 11 from Canada, starting in the 10th spot. Passera Racing, family-owned team, and they have done extremely well with just that single car effort. Inside of row number 5, Benjamin Pedersen for a Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, the rookie, starting the number 24 in the 9th position. We'll go now to row number 4 on the outside from Mount Kisco, New York, a winner in Indy Lights back in 2019 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's won here before as well. Robert McGinnis will start in the 8th position in the number 27. McGinnis won here in USF 2000 a number of years ago. Alongside him, the point leader coming out of Barber Motorsports Park won the opening round. Linus Lundqvist in the number 26, running for Global Racing Group with HMD Motorsports, the rookie, starting in the 7th position. We'll now move to the 3rd row on the outside. Toby Sowery's great runs here back in 2019. Sowery for Juncos Racing, a winner in 2019 late in the season as well. Out of Cambridge, England, Sowery in the 51 for Juncos Racing, starting in 6th. Inside of that row, debut year here for this guy coming from the FIA F3 Championship, Alex Peroni out of Australia in the Blundstone Carlin entry, the rookie in the number 5, starting in that 5th position. Row number 2, it'll be all Andretti Autosport on the outside. Multi-time winner in the Indy Pro 2000 category. Victor in Toronto on the street circuit, so he likes these bumpy, tough tracks. Daniel Frost out of Singapore, the number 68, starting in 4th. Then we'll move into the inside of that row. Devlin DiFrancesco for Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport, last year's Indy Pro 2000 runner-up, the number 17, starting in 3rd. 13 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. Off pole, winner yesterday, 22 wins in Road to Indy action. USF 2000 champion, Indy Pro 2000 champion, trying to see if he can't win the title here in Indy Lights and get that scholarship, that $1.3 million scholarship to move into the IndyCar Series. Driver on the pole, though, out of Chicago, Illinois, already 1 win on the season, trying to get that 2nd victory for HMD Motorsports. Your pole sitter today, the number 79 of David Malucas. There are your 13 cars that are getting set to go, and it is almost time to ask these drivers to fire up these 450 horsepower power plants. Joining me down here on pit lane to give the command, Mark Anderson, the Senior VP of Anderson Companies.
On behalf of everyone at Foundation Building Materials and Anderson Interior Contracting, drivers, start your engines.
450 horsepower behind each of these race cars coming to life, ladies and gentlemen. And now we join the voice of the IndyCar Radio Network for Indy Lights, Nick Yeoman, in progress.
Back is super competitive, but whoever gets that lead seems to check out. So it's going to be definitely a race to turn 1 and try to get that lead as quick as they can.
We've got a couple good turn announcers that we have dispatched around this course to help call the action. Again, it was pretty interesting yesterday with a lot of side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel battles in turn 1 that often led to some contact. And Michael Young, you're in that turn 1 spot ready to call the racing today.
Indeed, I'm on top of the parking garage that's just outside of the Dolly Museum. It looks over the paddock for the IndyCar Series, and I have a great vantage point not only of the Tampa Bay, but of turn 1 and turn 2. And I start to lose them at the entrance of turn number 3, but can see the field as they make their way down that Albert Whitted Airport runway into that right-hander of turn number 1, and then a very quick left-hander at turn number 2, and they go right to turn number 3, which is another right-hander. It's a very quick portion of this course, and as you said, Nick, a very tricky portion, an opportunity to make some passes, but an opportunity to make some mistakes as well. Further down into turn number 4, even better vantage point than I have is our very own Jake Query. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning to you, Michael, and that vantage point right now shows the field behind the pace car working their way underneath the Syntec Bridge up 1st Street here in St. Petersburg, Florida, as they start to put a little bit of heat in those tires. That's exactly what right now, for example, Devlin DiFrancesco is doing in the 3rd position behind Kyle Kirkwood and David Malucas. Field works their way here up 1st Street for quite a while, about 4 city blocks as a matter of fact. But then they make a right-handed turn. That is turn number 4. Once they make that turn, they've got to set up quickly for a lefty. That is turn number 5. That turn comes with some rumble strips down low and a little bit of a curbing up high. So you've got to be very, very careful and a little bit conservative in turn number 5 before, Nick, they work their way around Pioneer Park. Now, well, the one thing that is of note, there is a slight breeze. They saw that yesterday during the race, but the air is significantly thicker in this area of the racetrack. That's because it is far more humid. Of course, yesterday there was some expectation of precipitation during this event. We'll keep our fingers crossed we don't see that, Nick, but it's might be kind of a tricky environment because we'll see how the cars adjust to that thicker air they've got to pierce here in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, I know some folks have kind of described it as soupy down there in St. Petersburg, and yeah, that is certainly interesting conditions for those drivers and everyone keeping not only an eye on the racetrack, but those on the sky as well. Well, we've got a couple of pit reporters down on pit lane to help us cover the action as well. We'll start with Ryan Marine. Ryan, a driver, a storyline you're watching as we're set to go racing just one more parade lap here in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, good morning, Nick. And it was about this time in yesterday's race that problems started to emerge for Toby Sowery from Juncos Racing, and he had to come to pit lane even before they took the green flag. And talking to Ricardo Juncos a moment ago, he said the issue was a clamp that came loose that affected the turbo. Evidently, the boost hose came loose, and that was not allowing that engine to run to its full capacity. Now, the thing is, these cars have not been on track since that race yesterday, so they are not certain if that problem has been resolved. I suspect they'll know very, very soon. Toby Sowery, 2 times a podium finisher here at St. Pete, dating back to 2019, will start 6th. But I think a lot of eyes on that car to see if that problem has been resolved. How about you, Rob Howden? What do you have your eye on?
Well, for me, it's going to be whether or not David Malucas can come back and do exactly what Kyle Kirkwood did. Kyle, of course, dropped the hammer, scoring that dominant win yesterday. He started from pole. Can David Malucas do the same thing? Does he recover and say, you know what, no, you're not going to get it that easy. I'm going to go for the race win here. Remember, fastest driver here back in 2020 in March when we shut things down. Malucas very happy with his team. We'll see what he's able to do from pole position. And I'll cap things off by saying a happy birthday to my good friend, Michael Young.
Michael will call that action into turn number 1. We're about a half a lap away as it looks like David Malucas, Kyle Kirkwood, they've exited turn number 9. They're setting up for that final left-hander of turn 10. For fans in attendance, that's about as slow as you're going to see these guys so far today as we're set to go racing for 40 laps. Again, Malucas and Kirkwood will make up the front row. DeFrancesco and Frost in row 2. Peroni and Sowery in row 3. Lundquist, McGinnis in row 4. Then it's Pedersen, Saravale, Stingray Robb, Nikita Lasishkin, and Christian Bogle. Your 13 drivers for the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Those 13 drivers approach turn 14 for the final time at pace lap speed. It's Malucas who will get the jump. They exit that final corner. He'll bring the field slowly out of that final corner onto the airport runway. It's time to go racing for the Indy Lights Series on IndyCar Radio. We are green from St. Petersburg. Malucas, your pole sitter. He will accelerate. Christian Bogle gets sideways further back, but they will head to turn number 1.
And we got a great battle for the lead in turn number 1. David Malucas, he will touch wheels with Kyle Kirkwood. That will shuffle Kirkwood back. DeFrancesco now 2 wide. Right behind him, Daniel Frost. They're through turn 3.
They wanted to make sure and get this track as wide as possible as they went through turn number 3, but it is Kirkwood who Malucas who maintains the lead. He's got about a 4-car length advantage over Kirkwood. Then it's DeFrancesco, driver on the move with a really good start there. Linus Lundquist, who made up a couple of spots before turn number 5.
Yeah, Lundquist started 7th, and he just made a pass for 4th to get around Daniel Frost. So that orange and black car looks fast, and he is charging. But it is David Malucas who is checked out on Kyle Kirkwood after a little wheel banging there in turn number 1. Those drivers will set up for the left-hander of turn 10. The advantage for Malucas is about 4 or 5 car lengths back to Kirkwood, another 3 back to DeFrancesco, and then it's Linus Lundquist who got the big jump. And we got 1 car into the runoff area. It's Stingray Robb. He has missed turn number 10 and parked that car behind the tire barriers. Up front, though, here comes Malucas out of the corner across the start-finish line. Michael, he'll lead lap number 1.
Things far more settled down than they were on our opening lap. Malucas able to check out about 6 car lengths over Kyle Kirkwood. Then DeFrancesco about 6 car lengths behind him. As you said, Lundquist there, Daniel Frost, and then Robert McGinnis all over the rear wing of Daniel Frost.
This is the area of the racetrack where Linus Lundqvist on lap 1 got really wide and managed to make up 3 spots. Not able to do so now. He's got, again, DeFrancesco in front of him. We'll call it a 6-car length disadvantage for Lundqvist to make up. Not able to get it through turn number 5.
Davey, problems for both of the Juncos drivers. We saw the mistake that Stingray Robb made, but I know you could also see that green and white car of Toby Sowery with some damage.
Yeah, Toby Sowery's car definitely is going to have to come in for a new nose piece, guys. Wing hanging off, Dragon going to rub a hole in that left front tire momentarily. And his teammate, Stingray Robb, off in the runoff in turn 10. Not sure if they had contact together or not, but both the Juncos cars struggling right off in this race.
Yeah, this is very quickly becoming a weekend to forget for Ricardo Juncos' team. The report is that Stingray Robb has a right rear tire flat. Doesn't look like Toby Sowery's going to jump onto pit lane, Michael, but that wing is hanging on for dear life.
That's going to be a rough go around this 1.8-mile circuit for Toby Sowery. Now the battle is for 4th. It's Linus Lundqvist and that machine of Daniel Frost. Robert McGinnis right there as well, Jake.
McGinnis has a really good look at this. He is right on the rear wing of Frost, but again, that would technically be the battle for 5th. McGinnis going to try to take a look to the inside of turn number 4. Frost shut that door, so he holds on to that spot. Lundqvist is trying to put both of them further in the mirror.
Just saw a piece of that front wing for Toby Sowery go flying off the car at that lead up to turn number 4. But Davey, we're watching a really good battle as Daniel Frost trying to get around Robert McGinnis, and you're also seeing a replay of what might have caused that wing damage to Toby Sowery.
Yeah, when you go through turns 6, 7, and 8, 4 wide, there's going to be damage more than likely, and that's exactly what happened to Sowery. Just not enough room for all those cars to come through there. Like I say, not a big touch, but just enough to clip that nose wing of his. Obviously, he's staying on track right now. We've seen the side plate of that wing, the end fence, come off, so that's it's not dragging on his tire anymore. But as he goes down the front straightaway, as you can see now, guys, the wing's dragging the ground, and it's not going to last there very much longer.
Daniel Frost trying to hold off Robert McGinnis. Those two engaged in a really good battle for the 5th position. They'll streak through turn number 2 and pop into the view of Jake Query. Jake, the advantage for Frost, just a couple car lengths over McGinnis.
Seems like that's about a half a car length more over McGinnis than it was the last time by. Now, just as I say that accordion between 4 and 5 allows McGinnis to inch just a little bit closer. Called a car length and a half now through Pioneer Park.
Davey, is the thought process for Toby Sowery, boy, we had to pit early yesterday and just threw away all the track position to just hang on for dear life and hope for a full course yellow? Yeah,
at this point, man, like I say, going out on the first lap yesterday, then having damage on the first lap today, just not his weekend. And as long as that wing, doesn't dislodge or get lodged under his car, I should say, he's going to be probably okay. But it's dragging the ground pretty hard, and at this point, he's just hoping for a yellow to maybe come in, and he's going to come in right now. Yeah, definitely coming in the pit lane right now. More than likely going to lose a lap here, guys, and so not a good weekend for Sowery.
Davey, what's it feel like when you've got a front wing like that dragging? What does that do to the race car?
Well, you just lose the front grip completely. I mean, when the wing's gone, I mean, we rely on those cars to have good balance and the wing to make that happen and give you front grip. And when that wing's gone, the front grip just goes away, guys, and just it's going to punish those front tires throughout the race. But in his case, it was probably going to slice a hole in his tire or cut his tire. So wise move for him to come in.
Let's go to pit lane. Rob Howden has a good view of the repair for Toby Sowery.
Yeah, that was a super quick replacement of that front wing. I'll tell you guys, the Juncos crew went to work, got him back out, and we talked about potentially losing a lap. That's not going to happen. He's already out there. One thing I did see, though, too, the right front wheel on that car of Sowery white-walled, so he's been into the wall, too. Lots of damage, as we said. Left front of the wing and the right front tire. Sowery pushing hard in those opening couple of laps.
Yeah, it looked like it was Robert McGinnis and Sowery, the ones that made contact, that ultimately affected that damage. Devlin DeFrancesco runs in the 3rd spot, Michael. 4 cars in a line all heading to turn 1.
Yeah, Linus Lundqvist had actually made a charge on DeFrancesco last time by, and we've got an accident.
We got an incident. It's the Carlin driver of Christian Bogle who has missed turn 14, the final hairpin corner onto the airport runway, has driven off the racetrack. And Davey, that is going to be substantial race-ending damage for that 7 machine.
Well, ironically, he has that same left front nose damage that Sowery did, and then when he went into turn 13, car just would not turn. slides up, gets into that grass, and hits the wall fairly significantly, bends that left front suspension. Matter of fact, just tears it off the car, basically. So, unfortunately, that bad Bogle's definitely out for the day. He had a rough start. You know, he got sideways on the start, starting in the back of this field, but he almost got in the inside wall at the very start with some wheel spin, and just struggling today for sure.
This will bring out a full course yellow on lap number 5, and Rob Howden, could Toby Sowery have picked a better lap to come in and repair that wing?
Well, I think, guys, obviously he was hanging out there as long as he could to try to wait for that yellow, as you guys had mentioned. It wasn't coming. You're obviously worried about that wing coming loose and potentially getting lodged underneath. He could get in the wall, cut the tire, as Davey had said. But wow, such luck here for Sowery. And again, we haven't seen any luck for him at all. Yesterday and throughout the weekend, they've been battling a little bit as well with some instability on the braking, trying to get that dialed in. They had the issue yesterday with the turbo hose we talked about. They actually used the second half of that session to make adjustments. We watched them make front damper adjustments. They put new rear springs in the car. This may be a reset for Toby Sowery to try to salvage some important points here in the championship.
So Toby Sowery will get a chance to catch up with the pack and tail the end of the field. That'll be in the 11th position. Good news is Christian Bogle has hopped out of that Pelican Energy. Carlin Delara, of course, driver from Covington, Louisiana, done for the day. He will finish, it looks like, no better than 12th position. Stingray Robb also being listed as out of the race in 13th. While we've got a full course yellow, let's go to pit lane and check in with Ryan Marine.
It was a really nice day for Andretti Autosport yesterday. It was shaping up to be a great day until Devlin's issues late in the race, but let's focus on the positives here first. Kyle Kirkwood, big bounce back for him after a disappointing opening weekend at Barber. How happy were you and the team to see his hard work pay off with a maiden victory at Indy Lights?
Yeah, obviously super happy to get things back on track. As you say, Barber wasn't what we're used to, but obviously not just with Kyle, but all 4 cars this weekend are running where we would expect them to run. And so, yeah, excited yesterday and hoping we can repeat today.
A 1-2 finish. You had Daniel Frost following Kyle home. What were the expectation levels for Daniel this year? He was third at Indy Pro last year, but showing very well here on the streets of St. Pete.
Yeah, and he's tested really well for us, and I think, you know, all the drivers work really well together, and part of the benefit of the way we run the program, everyone has the opportunity to learn off their teammates. And, you know, the fact that all 4 of them are up there, I think, is testament to that. And you know, Daniel's making big strides learning, and I expect we'll see more of that later in the year from him.
Let's talk about the other 2 drivers in the roster as well. Devlin DeFrancesco, a couple of podiums at Barber, was in podium contention yesterday before the accident, running in podium contention again today. And then Robert McGinnis, your veteran on the team. What do they both bring to this operation?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Devlin, I thought, did a really good job at Barber. Thought he did a really good job right up till the incident yesterday. But, you know, that's a development series that the guys are all learning. I think he's shown great speed and maturity, and the benefit for us of working with him last year. Obviously with Robert coming back, someone that, you know, we knew won races with us in 2019. And, you know, we firmly believe any of the 4 drivers can win on any given weekend.
Last thing, let's turn the focus back to this race here. Kyle started second today. That's where he was running before this full course yellow. What did he learn from that opening little stanza there before the yellow that maybe he could take the fight to David up front?
I think he learned the 79 car will take him all the way to the wall if he tries to go past him. So if he's going to get by, he's going to have to pick his moment carefully and make sure it's clean.
Thank you, Rob.
No worries, thanks.
Rob Edwards from Andretti Autosport. It sounds like we're getting close to the cleanup being completed, guys. I'm hearing green next time by, perhaps.
Yeah, the AMR IndyCar safety crew has gotten the 7 machine of Christian Bogle off the racetrack there in turn 14. And the pace car quickly accelerating ahead of David Malucas and Kyle Kirkwood. As Rob Edwards talked about, got a little hairy down there in turn number 1. There's the opportunity for Kirkwood maybe to repay the favor and use up the racetrack if he gets a good run on Malucas out of the final corner. The field will stack up through the final couple of bends of turns 11, 12, 13, and now heading for 14. Malucas going to be quick on the accelerator. We are racing again. Green flag is out. Kyle Kirkwood right in the tire tracks. Is he close enough, Michael? Can he get a run heading down to turn 1?
We see David Malucas sprint away, basically a car length or so. The battle is for third. It's Linus Lundqvist on the inside of Devlin DeFrancesco. Lundqvist will get that position, but Jake, I tell you what, they stacked him up about 3 wide behind him.
Now, all of a sudden, DeFrancesco has right behind him has some issue, and that's Frost, who's going to go to the outside. Now, DeFrancesco closed the door. Looked like he was going to give up that position. Daniel Frost was not able to make that close through turns 4 and 5. The leader's already through Pioneer Park.
I'll tell you what, Davey, that was a fantastic pass by Linus Lundqvist on Devlin DeFrancesco down in turn 1 to take away that third spot.
Man, he's doing a good job today, guys. Really clean passes, took advantage of the original start, took advantage of the restart, finds himself in that third position, and 2 very, very good passes go down into turn 1 under control. As we've seen the very first start, guys, you know, it was Malucas and Kirkwood. Malucas got on the brakes just a little bit hard, locked those front tires up, slid into Kirkwood. I mean, not intentional, but it's just they're under massive braking down there. And if you go just a little bit over and it locks those front brakes, you lose that front end, slid into Kirkwood and pushed him out just a little bit. And that's, he didn't do it this time, and Kirkwood didn't have the opportunity to try to do the back to him either.
DeFrancesco quickly gathered it back up. He's holding on to that 4th spot. Battle for the lead, looking pretty good, though, Jake, heading to you in turn 3.
Yeah, the leaders have really checked out, but Malucas has not been able to check out on Kirkwood just yet. They already have worked their way through 5. I'll tell you what, all of a sudden, Malucas got a little bit squirrely through turn number 5. Kirkwood, though, also a little imbalanced, not able to make up any ground. Everybody single file now through 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, boy, he is right in his tire tracks. We're talking about Kyle Kirkwood, yesterday's winner, just 2 to 3 car lengths behind David Malucas as they make the bend through the kink in turn number 9. And Malucas stretches it out to about 3 car lengths, but under braking, Kirkwood's car looks to be a little bit more stable. Back on the accelerators out of turn number 10. Malucas' advantage this last lap was 0.6 of a second. Got to stay within 1.5 to use that extra horsepower in the push to pass. We'll see if Kirkwood can open it up back onto the airport runway, heading to the start-finish line, Michael Young, to complete lap number 9.
Boy, Kyle Kirkwood is trying to make that charge and catch up to David Malucas. The advantage for Malucas, 3 car lengths further back. The battle for 4th position as we see Daniel Frost all over the rear wing of Devlin DeFrancesco. They're through turn number 3.
This seems to be the area of the racetrack where Lundqvist makes up ground and DeFrancesco has struggled. We're talking about this area between 3 and 4. Right now it's Frost trying to close in on DeFrancesco. DeFrancesco, though, drawing a pretty good beat on Lundqvist, but that's still the way they run through 4 and 5.
Yeah, Michael brought up that battle for 4th, Davey. DeFrancesco in that bright yellow car kind of holding on. His teammate Daniel Frost giving him a good challenge in that red and white car around Pioneer Park.
You know, it's back to what we've seen in the previous races, guys. It's usually the leader that checked out, but right now the first 2 guys have a nice little battle going. But from Lundqvist back, there's 9 guys, really nose to tail. And as you said, DeFrancesco is just, he's kind of holding, he's all over the place a little bit. You know, a lot of tire slip, a lot of wheel spin. They're all over the back of him right now, and Frost is doing all he can to get by him.
Yeah, trying to hold on for dear life as they cross the line to complete lap number 10. Malucas' lead is about 1 second over Kyle Kirkwood, and then a good 4.3 healthy advantage over Linus Lundqvist. First driver out of the race, unfortunately, from Idaho, standing by on pit lane with Ryan Marine.
It is the reigning Indy Pro 2000 champion, Stingray Robb. A bit of a disappointing weekend all told for the Juncos Racing squad, and you're out of the race car, which is not good to see. We saw your car in the runoff at one point, but can you let us know from your perspective what has you out?
Yeah, you know, we had an okay start. The track is obviously a little green, it seemed like, and we were just trying to get the tires up to temp, and I must have had some contact in the 8-9 complex back there with the driver behind me, and I didn't feel it. But going down the back straightaway, I noticed the car seemed a little loose. And then I went into the brake zone of turn 10 and just didn't get the car stopped in time, so was in the runoff and then weren't able to get it turned around in time to continue.
Sorry to hear that. If you could briefly talk us through the transition, stepping up from Indy Pro 2000, where you were the champion a year ago, jumping into Indy Lights here this year for the first time.
Yeah, you know, last year we had a really good year with Juncos Racing, and so we decided to keep with the trend a little bit, stay with the team that we'd grown to love and be a part of the family with. And so we were hoping to continue that progress and success into Indy Lights, but so far this season we've been struggling a little bit, and I think that as we go, we'll improve, and progress is always being made. So yesterday we had a good run, 12th to 6th, so I was happy with that. And you know, it's a big difference running in the Indy Lights car compared to Indy Pro 2000 around here.
Sorry to see you out. Better luck in the next one.
Awesome, thank you.
Stingray Robb.
Yeah, he'll finish 13th today, and Davey, I mean, this Indy Lights field made up with so many rookies. I mean, that's kind of the tough thing about this sport. Some of those guys are going to figure it out pretty quickly. Some of them are going to struggle. And Stingray Robb, though, still a very talented driver. Probably a guy that maybe to look for in the second half of the season.
Yeah, without a doubt. He's proven that he can win races, that he can win championships. This is just the next rung of the ladder that he has to get familiar with. He's new to Indy Lights, and he'll get the hang. He's with a good team. That team's won the championships and races in this series, so just one step at a time, but he'll get the hang of it, and I wouldn't be surprised at all getting him back in victory lane here.
David Malucas, your race leader, with 27 laps to go. His advantage over Kyle Kirkwood has stayed at 1 second. It is growing over Linus Lundqvist. In fact, the front two, without a doubt, fastest cars on the racetrack. The lead for Malucas over third place running Linus Lundqvist has grown to 5.2 seconds. Lundqvist runs third. Devlin DeFrancesco is fourth. And Daniel Frost runs in the fifth position. Back to pit lane. Another update from Rob Howden.
You know, Nick, watching the big screens here from pit lane, it's interesting to see how much racetrack David Malucas is using, trying to get right out to the wall, especially coming in at turn 14. And indeed, he's trying to do what Kyle Kirkwood did yesterday. Very early in the run yesterday, Kirkwood able to pull away to that 2-second gap, 2+ seconds. And when it comes to push to pass, that effort has been moved to 1.5 seconds back. In the early years of push to pass, you had to be within 1 second of the driver in front. Now it's 1.5, so a lot more opportunity for the guys in the back to use that extra 50 horsepower. For David Malucas, it's all about inching away. Once you get to that 1.6, 1.7, Kyle Kirkwood no longer has the activation of push to pass. That's what gave him the margin of victory yesterday. That could be in play as well for Malucas. As I said that from the very beginning, he is using every bit of this racetrack, almost touching the wall on the exit of turn 14.
And Davey, while Malucas was inching away on the stopwatch, showing that Kirkwood might actually be running him down. It went from 1.1 second moments ago, got down to 0.7 of a second. So Kirkwood at least giving it a good effort to keep pace with Malucas.
Yeah, we've seen Malucas coming off turn 14. He's definitely hanging it out. I know he's the lead of this race, but he's using up every inch of racetrack. Almost got that left rear tire into the concrete barrier, just barely missing it. And he's the leader, but this track can catch you off guard. You have to run it 100% all the time, but we've seen leaders, we've seen guys in the top 5 make those mistakes and take themselves out. Remember Rossi last year in the IndyCar Series, guys leading this race and made that mistake in turn 3 and took himself out.
26 laps to go. It's Malucas, Kirkwood, Lundqvist, the top 3. Let's pick up that battle for fourth, though, Michael Young, because Daniel Frost is all over the rear wing of Devlin DeFrancesco.
I'm starting to think that Frost is just kind of waiting for the exact moment, as he does right now. He dives deep into the inside of Devlin DeFrancesco. Daniel Frost will pick off that position, but DeFrancesco back on the charge.
It's as though Frost's ears were burning and he heard Michael Young talking and said, well, I'll go ahead and make the move now. He did exactly that. DeFrancesco seemed to be this area of the racetrack that he had settled down just a little bit the last few times by, but now all of a sudden he finds himself a spot back. That's because Frost had gotten him in 3. DeFrancesco's not able to make up that ground before 6.
Yeah, little known fact, all these drivers are listening to IndyCar radio while they drive these cars. I kid, but Davey, that was perfect timing. I mean, Daniel Frost set up DeFrancesco going down into turn number 1.
Well, he about a 10-lap setup to make that pass, just finding his weak spot on the racetrack, getting him set up off that turn 14, draft him down the front straightaway. Just that's how you do it at this racetrack, and do a nice pass down in turn 1. And Frost did a perfect job getting by him.
And DeFrancesco seems to be struggling because, Michael, Robert McGinnis right there in 6th is rapidly approaching.
McGinnis starting to look on that rear wing, although Daniel Frost only able to gap DeFrancesco by 2 car lengths. Robert McGinnis about 2 car lengths behind as well, but indeed, Jake Query, McGinnis is on the charge.
Seems like the first half of the circuit is where DeFrancesco's balance of his car, he just feels like he's tiptoeing through it and watching it. Right now, McGinnis is the one that will next try to pounce, but coming off of turn number 4, McGinnis a little slower on the throttle. That allowed DeFrancesco to get away just a bit.
Yeah, they're separated by just a car length and a half around those pair of 90-degree right-hand turns around Pioneer Park. Then both drivers quick on the accelerator. A little jerk of the steering wheel through that bend in turn number 9 as they approach turn 10. McGinnis not close enough to get alongside, but he is right there underneath that rear wing. It's a bright yellow rear wing for Devlin DeFrancesco with 24 to go. They'll set up for turn number 14. The advantage up front still 1.1 second for David Malucas. But let's take a a look at again. Michael Young, that battle. It's for the 5th position. Devlin DiFrancesco and Robert McGinnis.
Yeah, DiFrancesco trying to keep touch with Daniel Frost, unable to do so. But I tell you what, McGinnis really lost a lot of ground. Now Benjamin Pedersen starting to get into the fray there. He's all over the rear wing of Robert McGinnis.
Yep, Johnny on the spot there with that eye, Michael, because all of a sudden Pedersen, I was looking to see if McGinnis would close in on DiFrancesco, and I thought, wait a minute, there's somebody on McGinnis's rear wing. It's Pedersen. He finds himself just a car length and a half back now through turn number 6.
So a full-field rundown as we approach halfway of the Indy Lights Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by Foundation Building Materials. They are on IndyCar Radio from the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. David Malucas has led every lap so far. Kyle Kirkwood runs in second. He's fallen to about 1.3 seconds behind. Linus Lundqvist is 6.8 seconds back in third. Daniel Frost and Devlin DiFrancesco hold on to the final spots in the top 5. Robert McGinnis runs in the 6th position. Benjamin Pedersen is 7th. The Australian driver Alex Peroni runs in 8th. Antonio Saravalli in the 9th position. Toby Sowery with a new front nose is running in the 10th position. Nikita Lastrich in the final car on track. He runs in 11th. Out of the race, Christian Bogle after an accident in turn 14. He completed just 4 laps. And then Stingray Robb, who we heard from moments ago, out of the race after an incident on the opening lap. Let's go back to pit lane and check in once again with Rob Howden.
You know, Nick Yeoman, yesterday we were able to see Kyle Kirkwood grab his 22nd Road to Indy victory. He's got wins in USF 2000, Indy Pro, and now in Indy Lights as well. I'm standing by with a guy that just added his first Indy Pro 2000 win today, Christian Rasmussen from J. Howard Driver Development. Christian, 11 wins in 2 years at USF 2000. But getting this one here, I think, in Indy Pro, probably one of your best victories. You got to be pretty happy with it.
Yeah, definitely really happy. It's the first year for me in the series. It's the first year for the team in the series as well. So being able to come off like this, as we have come off, it's amazing.
You know, Matt, you're really quick as well. Barber Motorsports Park last weekend. You led there. You had a spin while leading, and then a blocking penalty when Hunter McElroy was coming back after you. So you had the on-track win. Does that make this one even sweeter to say, hey, listen, that wasn't a fluke, guys. I came back here to this track here at St. Petersburg, and I was able to get that win?
Yeah, it for sure did. I mean, it was definitely my mistake at Barber. I shouldn't have put myself in that position, but that's racing. Sometimes you make mistakes. And yeah, like you say, it's definitely a sweet win getting the redemption from last weekend.
Yeah, so 3 wins your first year, 8 wins last year in USF 2000. To get this thing here, this victory here, how much momentum is that giving you moving forward when we go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks?
No, it's definitely giving me some momentum. It's just, for me, it's just all about improving all the time, getting better, see where you can, get better than your opponent. So obviously race wins are great, but we're really looking for winning the championship, and that's the main goal. So it was a great points weekend for me, 2nd place and the 1st place. I think driver with the most points out of everyone this weekend, only a few points off the leader. So great weekend, and looking forward to more at Indy.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Nick Yeoman, just another one of the names that we need to follow here on this Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. We always talk about how international this field is. Of course, Copenhagen, Denmark, the home of Christian Rasmussen. 11 victories in 2 years of USF 2000. Kyle Kirkwood got 22 so far. This kid's on the route to be able to potentially break that mark when he gets to Indy Lights.
Yeah, a lot of really good ones up and down the road to Indy. And Davey, we're watching a battle right now for the 9th position. It's a little bit further back from the pack, but Antonio Saravalli holding on for dear life in front of Toby Sowery. Sowery, of course, with a lot more experience, and it's showing right now around St. Pete.
I think so. Sowery's going to make that move momentarily, I'd have to think, even though he gets really wide coming off turn 9 right there. But he's working him over, isn't he, Nick? I mean, Saravalli has all he can handle right now. Every corner he goes into, seems like he locks it up, or he's got wheel spin coming off. And so, and this tells you something. We know Sowery, he qualified towards the front, and I think 5th it was. He has a fast race car. We know he could run up front, but that's how hard it is to pass. These guys are so close on times. It's hard to take advantage of those guys in front of you. Even though they're slower, you still got to make that pass and try to get by them.
Yeah, you got to nail that setup, and if you're just slightly off, as you point out, I mean, both of those guys sliding around the racetrack, and that's why it's not a battle for the lead, but more so a battle for the 9th position. David Malucas continues to lead, and that lead is growing, especially over the last 3 or 4 laps. That lead that was maintaining at about 1 second is now up to 3 seconds. So the driver from Chicago, Illinois, starting to pull away as if we have crossed halfway, just 19 laps to go. His lead over Kyle Kirkwood, 3 seconds, and 8.7 seconds back to Linus Lundqvist. Of course, big day here on IndyCar Radio. Coming up at noon Eastern time, we'll begin coverage, live coverage of the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Mark Janes and our entire crew, he'll have the call to guide us through 100 laps around the streets of St. Petersburg. And Mark, I think we're all really looking forward to this race. Round 2, usually this is a race that kicks off the season, but no better place to have round 2 as we get set to go racing.
I think among the questions, most notably, have Pato Award and Alex Belle indeed arrived after their after a win and a top 5 finish and a really strong weekend at Barber Motorsports Park. And can the pole sitter Colton Herta and Joseph Newgarden, who finished 22nd and 23rd respectively, rebound and get themselves back into championship contention? Conventional wisdom tells you Newgarden has a shot. He's going for his 3rd consecutive win on the streets of St. Petersburg, and he'll roll off in the 2nd row, and promises to be an exciting race. As you mentioned, 100 laps. We think it's a 2-stop pit strategy, but again, it all depends on the number of cautions today.
At the rear of the field for Indy Lights, just saw an issue for Nikita Lastishkin, who spun in turn 14. He got that car turned around. Mark, at the front of the field for the IndyCar Series, though, quite an interesting and a refreshing, I should say, front row for this event later today.
Yeah, Colton Herta and Jack Harvey, that's a great front row. We're over the moon happy for Jack, and of course all the folks listed on Sirius and XM. He's probably your favorite driver with that Auto Nation Sirius XM sponsorship. Big weekend for Auto Nation. It's their 25th anniversary, and some folks are there and enjoying the race this weekend. I know Jack wants to put on a good show for them and has done so thus far, but plenty of experience behind them, as we said, with Newgarden, Simon Pagenaud, Sebastian Bourdais, who's won here a couple of times. This is essentially his home race. And then Pato Award, Ritas VK, Dixon, Rahal, and Palou, the top 10. Dixon had some issues in qualifying yesterday. Didn't get him in the Fast 6, but still a pretty good starting position. But keep an eye on the rear of the field. Will Power was going for it yesterday. 9 poles here. He'll roll off 20th, and that should be alone worth the price of admission when the green flag flies.
Mark, we've seen plenty of wheel banging down in turn 1 at Indy Lights, and they just have a 13-car field.
Right.
What do you expect when we send 24 of them barreling into turn number 1 a little bit later today?
I mean, the same thing, and as we discussed earlier in our in the final warm-up session with our driver analyst Davey Hamilton, Nick, it's not just turn 1 solely, because whatever move you commit to, you may not be able to finish by the time you get, if you're on the outside and you get to that turn 2 wall, it has a tendency to reach out and grab people a bit. It narrows up plenty before you get that little switch back to turn number 3. So, you know, while turn 1, you want to set that up off of that final turn. You got to be careful when and where you commit to that move because of the issues that you can be faced with in turn 2.
Turn 1 just got some action as Toby Sowery finally got around Antonio Saravalli, so move Sowery up into the 9th position. Mark, for so many years you called these Indy Lights races. You mentioned the front row. I mean, just plenty of Indy Lights graduates littered throughout the field of the IndyCar Series we're going to see later today.
Well, and as you pointed out yesterday, I mean, you've got 2 guys on the front row, 2 of the up-and-comers, future stars of the series. Neither one of them were series champions in Indy Lights. That gives you an idea just how deep and competitive this field is, and this group of drivers is certainly, you know, no exception. There's some guys were saying, well, okay, who are they? Where do they come from? Unfortunately, I have a guy like Rob Houghton who handed them kart trophies once upon a time early on in their careers, and he can get us up to date on that. But there's no question we are fully well aware of Kyle Kirkwood following the road to Indy, and what, you know, over 20 wins already in his young career. The guy has can't miss written all over him, and we consider ourselves very, very fortunate, all of us do, to be able to follow these drivers in their development, follow them all the way, in many instances, to victory lane in the NTT IndyCar Series. That's what's cool about this for us.
All right, partner, looking forward to it. Noon Eastern time. Of course, live coverage of the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Mark and Davey, myself, Michael Young, Jake Query will have the call of the action. Of course, Ryan Marine will join them down on pit lane. Just 15 laps to go here here in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. David Malucas is your race leader. His advantage that was up around 3 seconds, coming down a little bit. It's 2.7 seconds as Kyle Kirkwood inching forward. He's going to have to make some Herculean jumps, though, if he's going to catch them. Those two, though, in a completely different area code as Linus Lundqvist runs in third. He is 10 seconds behind the leader. Daniel Frost keeping pace with Lundqvist. He runs in fourth, just a second and a half behind. Then it's Devlin DeFrancesco in fifth. Robert McGinnis runs in the sixth position. Seventh is Benjamin Pedersen. Eighth, Alex Peroni. Ninth, Toby Sowery. And 10th, Antonio Saravalli. And Davey, we've seen a couple replays of that pass that Sowery set up on Saravalli. He had been working him over lap after lap. Finally got it done in turn one.
Finally got it done in turn one, and we've seen him do it picture perfect again. And that is how the passing's done at this facility, in this race circuit, is line them up off of turn 14, guys, get that draft, and he did a nice job getting underneath of him, getting into turn one nice and clean, and now he's checking out from him a little bit. He definitely had the faster car, Sowery did.
Let's learn a little bit more about that one-car team for Antonio Saravalli. Rob gave that car a good run yesterday. Of course, an uphill battle for that group, but Antonio Saravalli with a pretty impressive seventh-place run yesterday.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Nick Yeoman, this is a team that came together about 45 days ago. I'm standing by with Peter Saravalli, team owner and team principal of Passera Racing and San Antonio Racing. Peter, you guys brought this thing together late, as you know. You're trying to get Antonio on the grid for this year. You were at the Barber spring training test. Antonio has kept putting in the laps. The beauty of it right now, he's getting the laps he needs. That seventh place run tomorrow, you had to be a prod papa on that one.
Yes, we got it all. Like I said, you said 45 days ago, we didn't think we were going to be on the grid. We ended up just making it happen. And we came together with a great team so far. Our guys are all looking for one goal, and that's to improve every time we go out. And yesterday we had a really good result with a P7 on our second outing, second weekend out. So
yeah, as a one-car team, it's not easy, right? You guys, you're building every session, it seems. You put together a team in 45 days, as you said. You got a lot of guys here working hard in this car, but it's every session, right? Every race, you're just trying to get that little bit better.
Exactly, yes, because we don't have very much time. We didn't have very much track time before. We only put this team together very short time, so we didn't have track time with everybody. So we're trying to, every race we're using it to improve, and we're using it as actually track time for data and to gain positions. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be in the mid-pack. By mid-season, we're trying to be in mid-pack.
Great start to the season.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dick, that's Peter Saravalli, a brand new team here, Passera Racing, with their driver Antonio Saravalli. He has done well, a couple of top 10s working here this weekend. Here's a young kid here, brand new. Again, as he said, Peter said, zero data coming in. Just a complete clean sheet of paper. Everywhere they go, they're coming up with a bottom line setup. I think what they're doing right now is punching way above their weight class.
It's amazing. It's a great story because, I mean, Davey, some of these Indy Lights teams are established. Andretti Autosport's been in this game for decades. You know, Carlin and Hudkos have a lot of experience. And here you got a one-car team, a rookie driver, and a brand-new team. I mean, they're trying to do the impossible. There's no doubt about it.
No question about it. Like I say, no data whatsoever when they come in here, especially with a one-car team and a rookie driver. It is an uphill challenge, but doing a great job, as you said. Every other team here, massive experience. They've all won with Carlin, Andretti, Juncos. I mean, all winners and champions of this sport. So these guys have a tough road to hoe, but doing a great job.
Michael Young, let's take a peek at that battle for fifth. Devlin DeFrancesco with about a half-second lead over Robert McGinnis.
It's almost like an accordion. Every other lap, it's Robert McGinnis that closes in, then he'll fall back. But this time, Jake Query, Robert McGinnis within 2 car lengths of Devlin DeFrancesco.
The battle is for fifth. DeFrancesco has it. McGinnis would like to get it, and Pedersen is keeping an eye on the battle just in front of him because he's trying to get in right there with them. As a matter of fact, DeFrancesco off of turn number 5 got a little separation from McGinnis, but then McGinnis makes it up as they make that riding through 6 and then 7. But Pedersen, Nick, is not letting those two out of his view.
Yeah, and I think you pointed out a couple laps ago, Jake, it seems like Devlin DeFrancesco in that technical, slower portion of the racetrack is where his car might be a little bit better than Robert McGinnis. They'll approach turn number 10, and his advantage is just a car length or 2 over Robert McGinnis, and then about 2 or 3 back to Benjamin Pedersen. Again, this is 5th, 6th, and 7th on the racetrack. They'll make their way through the final hairpin. It is without a doubt the best battle on the racetrack. Those 3 cars, Michael, nose to tail as they roar across the start-finish line.
To give the race fans an idea, the leaders are already through turn 2 by the time the rest of the field gets through turn 10. This time by Dublin DeFrancesco, McGinnis, but the battle now for 6. Pedersen's right there.
Pedersen is really starting to close in on McGinnis, and McGinnis wanted to try to throw something at DeFrancesco, but it's actually Pedersen that he's got to worry about now. DeFrancesco, that highlighter machine, running in 5th, and right behind him it is McGinnis. But again, Pedersen is right there. If McGinnis makes a bottleneck trying to keep DeFrancesco in view, Pedersen's ready to pounce.
Davey, this just kind of seems like maybe 3 evenly matched cars that, man, it's just hard to pass when the guy you're trying to get around is almost as good as you are.
Yeah, and you look at their lap times, guys, right on top of each other. I mean, it just bounces back and forth within that 1/10 of a second. So they're getting that dirty air. They just can't take advantage of each other, and they're really trying to ride it out. You've got to remember, tires are starting to wear out, guys. I know the fuel load's a little bit lighter, but with these tires, a little bit of wear, the balance is going off a little bit. They're just kind of hanging in there trying to survive.
Yep, 5 extra laps to this race. Let's pick up that battle again with 9 to go into turn number 1.
And the wind has started to pick up coming down that front straightaway. DeFrancesco in 5th, and 6th is Robert McGinnis. Pedersen is in that 7th position. The battle's all about 2 car lengths between each of the competitors.
DeFrancesco tried to swing it just a little bit on the straightaway, maybe trying to irritate that air. That allowed McGinnis to get close through 4. But again, DeFrancesco through 5 gets that back. That accordion rubber band effect like Michael was talking about. Pedersen is right there. To Davey Hamilton's point, those 3 right now are completely evenly spaced from one another.
Of course, we're talking about the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Probably wouldn't hurt to peek in up front, because while David Malucas isn't necessarily being challenged yet by Kyle Kirkwood, the deficit is dropping. It was 3 seconds. He got it down to about 2.7, and now it's down to 1.6. So, Rob Houghton, as we jump down to you on pit lane, this race may not be over with 8 to go.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to watch. I'm standing by here with Mike Marini, the team manager of HMD Motorsports. Your young driver going to get challenged potentially here again by Kyle Kirkwood. But let's talk a little bit about how he developed. Gets that first win at Barber Motorsports Park. You've been around a long time, Mike. How much did that change David and his mindset getting that first victory?
I mean, on Saturday at Barber, when he ended up in the wall, it was pretty disappointing for the whole team as a group. But he shrugged it off, like just brushed it off like it was nothing, and came back Sunday and won. And just since then, he's been really focused on this weekend and wanted to get here, wanted to get started. First practice session went really well for him. Obviously, he's been here before, so he had a little bit of track knowledge, but he's been working well with the teammates to try and make sure that they're up to speed as well, because some of them haven't been on this track before.
Yeah, a little bit of a cage match yesterday. He was battling it out with all those Andretti drivers. He had the gloves up, almost like a deal where you kind of potentially don't want to poke the lion, because, man, they got on him hard, and he came out of the gate really strongly here today.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job yesterday. They had their cars out front, and then they used their third car to attack and get in front of him and hold him back a little bit. So falling back to 7, they did a good job to salvage what he did and move back up to 3rd and be on the podium. Now with I think 8 laps to go, hopefully he can just finish this one off and see what we can do.
Quick thought on Linus Lundqvist, never been to a street circuit before, now running P3, a pretty good overall progression throughout the weekend.
Impressive, actually. He ended the first session and just said on the radio, "I love this place. I can't wait to race here." So he's doing a great job. He had a little bit of struggles in qualifying, but overcame that right now, running 3rd, and maybe we have 2 cars on the podium.
Hope all goes well.
Thank you, Rob.
Nick, we got to go back up to you guys, because I think Kyle Kirkwood back in to push to pass region. This could be interesting here with 7 to go.
Yeah, 7 to go, Rob, and it is down to 1.3 seconds. And Davey, the question now is for David Malucas, has he been saving his car over these last 8 to 10 laps, or has Kyle Kirkwood found another gear?
Well, you never know. We're going to soon find out, because he's now so close that being in that range to use his push to pass in that 2nd position, and he can catch up to Malucas. Now, a lot of times, hopefully Malucas saves some tires and saves some car to where he can pull out these last few laps, guys. We only got 6 laps to go, and he needs the speed now. It always counts. It doesn't count early in the race. It counts at the end of the race. So he's now 1.2 seconds, guys. He's definitely within range. Kirkwood's definitely gaining on him.
Yeah, he's shaving off a couple tenths a lap now, and at this rate, he is going to get to the back of that car. Can he get around him, though? We shall see. Jake, let's take a quick look at McGinnis and Pedersen slugging it out for the 6th position.
Yeah, DeFrancesco has checked himself out from those 2 for right now, but Pedersen is going to try to work on McGinnis through turn number 4. As a matter of fact, right on the rear wing through turn number 5. McGinnis was able to shut that door, get himself a little bit of room, but Pedersen is coming hard after Robert McGinnis.
David Malucas, your race leader. Kyle Kirkwood is second. Linus Lundqvist is third. And Michael Young out of the final corner. Kirkwood's got it under a second. Here they come across the start-finish line. We've got a race with 5 to go.
And we see David Malucas now making that right-hander into turn number 1. Kyle Kirkwood right in the tire tracks. It's about 4 car lengths back. Kyle Kirkwood out of push to pass, so he's really going to have to get it done on that racetrack, Jake. He's closing in again, like I said, 4 car lengths.
Visibly, the lead is indeed shrinking. You can see it because Malucas through turn number 5, Kirkwood is right there. As Malucas exited turn 5, it was indeed Kirkwood that was getting right there into the turn. Again, no push to pass left, it would seem. So if Kirkwood's going to have to do something, it's going to have to be by finding better lines. But his car looks really good as they work their way into turn number 10.
Michael, we just had a change for the 6th position as well.
Pedersen got around Robert McGinnis. It was a nice pass down into turn number 1, continued on into turn number 2, but Benjamin Pedersen had been working that rear wing of Robert McGinnis, finally able to get that 6th position. Now let's see if he can get to Devlin DiFrancesco.
Michael, you can go ahead and keep it because here they come out of turn 14. It's still 1 second. Malucas over Kirkwood. 4 to go here at St. Pete.
Amazing how strung out this field is, but that battle going through turn number 1. David Malucas back end steps out ever so slightly. Kyle Kirkwood within 3 car lengths.
Has Malucas weathered the storm, or is Kirkwood still coming? That's the question here as Malucas works his way through, again, 4 and 5. This time a little bit more of an advantage through 5 than the last time by.
Davey, both these drivers awful young, but this is the type of pressure situation that you get to carve IndyCar drivers out of.
That's right. Remember a kid named Colton Herta who's sitting on the pole right now, and the guy was last week's pole sitter, Pato Award. Watching these same kind of races in this series, Indy Lights, some guys battling it out. Well, we got 2 guys doing the same thing as they are. They're hoping for the same results as those other 2 had.
Could be interesting. Looks like they are catching a lap car. I think that's Nikita Lasishkin out of the final corner. May be a factor before this is all said and done. Out of the final corner. Again, the advantage for David Malucas, 0.8 of a second. Michael, that's about 5 car lengths down this long airport runway.
Can the HMD teammates help each other? Indeed, it's Lasishkin right in front of David Malucas. Now Robert McGinnis closing in. He's got it down, Jake, to 2 car lengths as they head to turn 4.
As they work their way through turn number 3, the leader is David Malucas, but again, Kyle Kirkwood is shaving off nearly a 10th per lap. They work their way now through turn number 4 into turn number 5. Kirkwood trying to make an advantage on the fact that Malucas got just a little bit loose off turn number 5, but still not able to make up the ground he needs.
David, our race leader, David Malucas, not only battling Kyle Kirkwood, but battling this racetrack as well here with 3 to go.
Yeah, off of turn 14, he finally did it. He'd been working on it for about 10, 15 laps to hit that wall. He finally got it done. He finally got that left rear tire up against the concrete coming off of 14. White-walled it, hit pretty good. He's still ahead of Kirkwood. He's still going, but can't do that very often. You can start bending things at that point. And now Kirkwood's all over him coming off 14 this time. Kirkwood almost hits it.
It is 1 car length out of the final corner. 2 laps to go, Michael Young, and we have a race for the lead into turn 1.
Kyle Kirkwood has saved the best for the last few laps. David Malucas through turn number 1. Kyle Kirkwood able to close it down. It's 1 car length through turn number 3.
David Malucas of Chicago, Kyle Kirkwood of Florida right behind him. Now it's about 2 car lengths as they work their way into turn number 4. No issue for Malucas through 4. No issue through 5. The one issue he has, Nick, Kyle Kirkwood is right on his rear wing.
You can visibly see the Cooper tire riding rubbed off on that rear tire for David Malucas as he is trying to hold on. The handling of that car has gone away, and he has one heck of a competitor right up that rear wing here with just a lap and a half to go. It is 0.8 of a second. Malucas gets a good charge into turn number 10, and he'll keep it at about 2 or 3 car lengths. They'll make the bend through turns 12 and 13 to set up for the final hairpin, where David Malucas will see the white flag. Kyle Kirkwood charges deep into that final corner. He'll get to 2 car lengths back out on the front straightaway. Michael, these 2 will see the white flag. 1 to go here at Indy Lights at St. Petersburg.
Kyle Kirkwood has the broom out, trying to sweep the weekend. Can he get Malucas in turn number 1? Not close enough. He breaks heavily into turn number 1. Now they accelerate out of turn number 2. It's Malucas by 2 car lengths.
David Malucas now comes into an area of the racetrack where he has been flawless today, but he's going to have to do so one last time by. He works his way through turn number 4. Kirkwood is right there off turn number 5. It's a half a car length as they work their way around Pioneer Park.
Malucas Malucas was moving left and right, trying to disrupt the air. Kyle Kirkwood is on his horse around Pioneer Park. A pair of 90-degree right-hand turns. Malucas with a strong charge out of turn number 7. He'll gap Kirkwood by 2 or 3 car lengths. They'll set up for turn number 10. Kirkwood takes a peek to the inside as he moves to driver's left. They'll both streak their way out of turn number 10. Malucas' advantage stays at about 3 car lengths from the left to the right and setting up for the final corner. Kyle Kirkwood's going to throw the kitchen sink at David Malucas out of the final corner. Malucas too strong in the closing laps. He'll see the checkered flag streak to the inside of the racetrack to win race number 2 here at St. Petersburg. David Malucas holds off Kyle Kirkwood in a spirited battle as he wins by 0.6 of a second to score his second victory of this 2021 Indy Lights season. Malucas, your race winner. Kyle Kirkwood second, Lundqvist third, Frost fourth, DeFrancesco fifth, Pedersen sixth. Got a good battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th out of the final corner. Looks like Robert McGinnis will hold on to 7th. It's Alex Peroni in 8th, and Toby Sowery, who was charging, got to the 9th position. But boy, Davey Hamilton, that was a really, really spirited battle between 2 young American drivers in the closing laps.
Man, what a fun race to watch. Those guys, Kirkwood and Malucas, they show what they have. They're the guys to beat right now. And what a good run by Kirkwood to chase him down. Just not quite enough at the very end, but what a challenge.
And with that win, David Malucas takes over the points lead by 3 markers over Linus Lundqvist. Just a fantastic event around this 14-turn course. I know Michael Young, Jake Query had a lot of fun calling it with me. Looking forward to hearing from David Malucas, who I know is going to be awful excited about holding on for a race win. Kyle Kirkwood pulls up to the inside to salute him. Of course, IndyCar Radio wants to thank Squaremouth Travel for providing Jake Query's turn position on their balcony high atop the 12th floor of the City Center here in St. Pete. Squaremouth never wants a traveler to pay more than they need for a travel insurance policy. Squaremouth's custom search filters more than 80,000 customer reviews and will help you compare policies to find the best coverage for your trip. Get an instant quote at squaremouth.com/IndyCar. Big thanks to those folks for letting Jake Query up there on that balcony to help call the action of a fantastic Indy Lights race. No doubt about it, on the streets of St. Petersburg. David Malucas, victorious, slowly pulls that number 79 machine for HMD Motorsports. He'll come to a stop, and we'll hear from him momentarily. Your podium today, Malucas, Kirkwood, and Lundqvist. Malucas leads all 40 laps, but boy, he had to sweat this thing out. And again, very early in this championship battle, but after 4 races, we've got 3 drivers separated by just 10 points. That's what we like to see. Malucas with a 3-point advantage over Linus Lundqvist, 8 points over second place finishing Kyle Kirkwood. Devlin DeFrancesco sits 4th in points, and Daniel Frost moves up +2 on the day. A really good weekend for him, finishing 2nd yesterday, 4th today. He'll move up into the 5th position. And I'll tell you what, Davey, I mean, David Malucas, the first repeat winner of the season, clearly showing what it takes. He is going to be a championship contender, it feels like, throughout the course of this season.
Without a doubt, and what a great job by that team. I mean, Brink coming into Indy Lights and doing what it takes to win these races, getting the proper drivers, and very, very impressive run. And like I say, the first repeat winner, so it's early in the season, so he has a great career coming as well.
Yeah, just a fantastic race. Kyle Kirkwood, David Malucas slugging it out there over the final handful of laps. Again, the advantage for Malucas at one point was over 3 seconds. He was hanging it out, even scraped the wall and scuffed up one of those Cooper tires and held on for dear life as Kyle Kirkwood was charging. Again, the advantage for Malucas in the race win, just 0.6 of a second. But boy, on some of the parts of this racetrack, he had it down to 2 or 3 tenths. And on the racetrack, of course, that equals just about a car length or a car length and a half. Just a phenomenal battle for the race win. That's what we like to see in Indy Lights. Going to hear from a couple of these drivers. Ryan Marine, Kyle Kirkwood. Boy, he made David Malucas sweat. There's no doubt about it. He comes home 2nd at St. Petersburg.
Yeah, exactly right. Kyle Kirkwood on a charge there in the final 5 or 6 laps. How many more laps did you need? Do you think you had something for him if you had a couple more?
You know, I think it required him making a mistake, which he made a couple mistakes there. That's why I kind of caught up. Car was on rails there at the second portion of the race. We were a little slow to get going initially. But after that restart, it was the car was fantastic. And unfortunately, it's just so hard to pass around here, even with push to pass. You lose so much braking capability when you're behind another quick car like that. So no, hats off to him. He drove an incredible race. He didn't make any giant mistakes. I was trying to pressure him into some. I was pushing all I got, and that showed in the lap times. But no, I think we actually had some front right wheel damage after the first corner, which held us up. And I kind of had to learn to drive the car like that. If not, I think we would have even pressured him some more.
Coming away from this weekend with a win and a couple of podiums after the disappointment of Barber last week, how much of a boost is that for you in your championship pursuit?
It definitely helps. And Lundqvist, I don't think had that good of a weekend, unfortunately for him. It puts us right back up in points contention. And we had the most amount of points coming out of this weekend, and hopefully we can carry that momentum through to the next rounds.
A winner yesterday, P2 today. That's Kyle Kirkwood.
Yep, he's absolutely right. I mean, we're kind of wash away everything as we've got a quite tight championship battle after just 4 races. Let's hear from our race winner, who is standing by on pit lane with Rob Howden.
Yeah, Nick Yeoman, I just walked David Malucas over to have a look at the left rear. Dude, you were using every little bit of racetrack and a little bit more. Obviously, Kirkwood coming to pressure you at the end. Tell me about how much you hung this car out to dry.
I mean, yeah, I was losing tires, losing brakes. I mean, everything was just falling off. And I was like, but we have a 3-second gap. But then all of a sudden I get the call on the radio. Yeah, gap is like 1.9 and dropping. So I was like, oh, no, that's not good. So, yeah, I mean, as you can see here, I was pushing it to the limit. I mean, whatever the car had, I was using it. I mean, I'm going sideways everywhere, throttle down, and we managed to pull it through and hold them off.
Overall, did the car go away mid-race, or what was it for you? Was it the tires kind of just fading out, being essentially done for the day?
Yeah, I mean, tires felt like they were still there. I think just, under the heavy fuel load, I was pushing the tires quite hard. Still having little lockups here and there, and I mean, those add up. And by the end, when the fuel load started to drop, the rear started to kind of get loose on me, and the fronts were already done. So, I mean, I'm coming into a corner, the rear goes, but then the fronts don't hook. So I'm kind of like a loose goose out there.
Hardcore scrap with the Andretti drivers yesterday. I know you were able to come, and how satisfying is it then to be able to come and dominate today?
I mean, yeah, this is really satisfying. I mean, even out of Barber, this one feels the best, just because, you had those bulls behind me, and I was just running and just pushing so hard till the end. I mean, even into the pits, I was just like, I don't know. But no, I mean, unbelievable. I'm through the roof. I think the team's quite happy with that. And yeah, I mean, on Indy, so.
David, congratulations.
Thank you.
David Malucas, Nick Yeoman, a winner today. Second victory this year in the Indy Lights program. And this kid, obviously, you can hear it in his voice, absolutely jacked up.
Yeah, I mean, clearly one of the better drivers in this series and quickly becoming one of the best interviews in the entire paddock as well. Congratulations to David Malucas. Again, he holds off Kyle Kirkwood, and as Rob talked about, the series schedule now moves on to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where these drivers will compete on the road course. A big thanks to everyone in St. Petersburg, Michael Young and Jake Query with calling the action, Ryan Marine and Rob Howden down on pit lane, and on-site engineering from Rick Evans. In Indianapolis, Sam Brumsta on master control, and of course the general manager of the IndyCar Radio Network is Chris Pollock. Mark Janes will join us in about an hour as we get set to go racing for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. I'm Nick Yeoman. So long for now. And again, congratulations, David Malucas, your race winner in Indy Lights, presented by Cooper Tires. We'll talk to you about an hour on IndyCar Radio.
Dramatic conclusion to the Indy Lights race, and David Malucas holds off Kyle Kirkwood. And one of the highlights from yesterday here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, getting set to put on another show here on Sunday. The appetizer, if you will, for the NTT IndyCar Series, with pre-race ceremonies getting set to go in just a little bit. Stadium Super Trucks are back. It was a great show yesterday with Sheldon Creed coming out victorious ahead of Matty Brabham and Ari Lyon-Dowd Jr. It is Ken Stout who is the voice of the Stadium Super Truck Series and joins me, and looking forward to more excitement on track beginning shortly, Ken.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get this thing going here once again. It will be round 2 here for the Speed Energy Stadium Super Trucks for the 2021 season, and great to be racing here again, of course, after, a tough 2020 for everybody, really. And boy, following up here, a very exciting Indy Lights race. Great to see a nice full field of Indy Lights as well, and the young drivers put on a great show right at the very end. And of course, as you talked about, we're the appetizer, if you will, for round 2 of the IndyCar coming up here in IndyCar Series. And how about young Colton Herta, man? Steps up and puts that thing on the pole. That kid has so much talent.
There's a couple of really good young guns up near the front of that field. Colton Herta, one of them, Jack Harvey, another one with a sensational qualifying effort, the best of his career. We got Joseph Newgarden, who is the 2-time winner here at the St. Petersburg in back-to-back years, trying to make it the three-peat. Simon Pagenaud is alongside in the front row. Lots of good excitement in 100 laps of racing. Now, the Stadium Super Truck Series will not race for 100 laps, but no. I'm not sure our hearts could take that if they raced for 100 laps, because they provide plenty of action in the race that they put on.
Give us 12 laps and we'll put on a show. And for the fans that are around the track here now, they're actually setting up the ramps. Yes, they have steel ramps that they bring out here, put in the middle of the track. The one on the front straightaway coming out of the final turn here, they'll hit that thing at approximately 80 miles an hour. So they'll get a ton of air here. They go off these things side by side. As you talked about, we had a very exciting race, 1 round to go. Unfortunately, a red flag after an incident on lap number 2 shortened the race up, but we still kept the same format, ran a couple of laps. They do a mandatory caution, and then we finished up with a couple of laps and had a very exciting race, very close. Matty Brabham, as she was talking about, right on the back bumper of Sheldon Creed, as Creed grabbed his 37th career win out here in Stadium Super Trucks. So talented for sure, but a couple.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper.
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Welcome to Road to Indy TV Live. I'm the host, Parker Thompson, and I am here with a sensation in Race 2, Indy Pro 2000, second place finisher, Manuel Suleiman. Manuel, great race. Thank you for giving the fans something to cheer about. You start 4th, you bobble back to 5th, and then you just go on an attack. A bunch of outside moves on turn 1. Take me through what it takes to pass around the outside here at turn 1.
Yeah, it was eventful, an eventful race, to be honest. I had a lot of fun. We started on 4th. It's difficult here to start 4th, you know, outside.
Oh.
You always have that pressure. I had the space to go in the inside. I went in the inside, and I lost the place.
Okay.
So I went to 5th, and obviously with the yellow flags, it was a long time, you know, like we had a long time, and then obviously with the green flag, it was better. The car felt super good. I want to thank Juncos for the great job. And I made most of my passes in turn 1 from the outside. So there's tons of grip there, and it was a little bit risky, but at the end we did it in the right moment. Good execution. So we're really happy. a good amount of points, and you know this is just the beginning for the championship, a long championship, and we're looking ahead.
I think so, and I think this will be just what you need to get momentum over there with those green cars. Now, you're coming down the front straight. You got a guy in front of you. Take me through the motions of how you pass him around the outside. What is your brake marker? How do you judge and not overshoot it? Because it's so easy to overshoot.
Yeah, especially here with the long straight, and you know you have the paint, and that doesn't help. But it's a really wide straight, you know, so you can move a lot.
Right.
And the toe, especially in this race, in race 2, it was the wind in the wrong direction. Yeah.
So huge headwind.
Super headwind, and you obviously had more toe, right?
Yes.
So, the most important thing was to get a good exit out of the last corner, and then you have that opportunity to attack, right? So yeah, it's a really wide straight, so you can have opportunities and make the guy in front make mistakes. You know, that's the advantage.
Well, Manuel, you touched on a great point. For those of you watching Indy Pro Race 2, you would have saw all of the flags on the front straightaway actually pointing backwards on the front straightaway. There was a huge headwind, and with a headwind creates more drag, it creates more downforce on these cars, and it creates more toe, which is essentially when you're behind a car, the car in front is punching that a hole in the air. The car behind isn't punching that much air, so it's actually less drag, which gives you a little toe up. Manuel was able to use that to his advantage multiple times. Take me through battling Braden Eves and Hunter McElray. When you're going for those passes on those guys, you know they're aggressive. Are you giving them any inches, or are you going full attack?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be aggressive, right?
Okay.
I've raced with them quite a lot, you know, last year. Braden got me in the start there, and I had the opportunity to get back to him in the first corner. So it was really clean, aggressive. We were both aggressive, very competitive. You know, especially in the street course, that everything is little details, and you're close to the wall, but it was pretty good. Also with Hunter, you know, we give each other respect, and that's how we race, right? Aggressive and yeah, not giving any inch for advantage. You know, always in the limit. So always clean and always respectful.
What was your mindset? Obviously, Barber wasn't the start you wanted to get off to. Were you going to make amends for that and really be aggressive, or were you thinking championship already? You're in the podium, you know. Are you thinking points, or are you thinking wins?
No, I'm definitely thinking wins. You know, I'm a guy that thinks always in winning whatever the race is on. But I think it's a long championship. We need to be intelligent, and you know very well. I think we need to, as you said, the Barber wasn't the best, so we lost some points there. But I mean, we need to keep the momentum and keep taking points. If we have the opportunity to win, obviously take it.
Yes.
But if not, if we have a third place, fourth, you know, keep it like that. Save points and keep looking ahead, right? So always working with the team and improving, and yeah. Have the objective of winning, but always with intelligence. With intelligence,
and I'm sure Juncos has helped you out a lot too. You're wise beyond your years for that. You know, a lot of drivers come in and think only wins, but I do think you do carry a certain mindset that realizes that it's a big picture, right? Long championship to go, and we look forward to you in that championship. Exactly. Lastly, we'll end Indianapolis Motor Speedway coming up at the Indy GP. Sure. What are your thoughts headed into that, and are you going to carry this momentum?
Obviously. Yeah, I love that track, to be honest. Super nice track. You know, it's a super, everything is super good, no? The track, the facilities, you have all there, you know? I think Juncos has so much experience there in Indy, and we keep the momentum, as you say. We have 3 races, so we're going to get everything out of it and maximize our opportunities and put the amount of points, the most amount of points we can. Right?
For sure. No, that sounds fantastic. Well, Manuel, the Road to Indy TV fans look forward to watching your excitement on track. if I could do an interview in another language as good as he does it, he is Mexican, your first language is Spanish.
Spanish.
So the fact that you can hold such an intelligent interview in English is pretty awesome.
Thank you very much. I'm working. I'm still working.
Oh,
on
you're
it.
coming up. You're fantastic. Coming up next, we'll have Indy Lights Race 2 winner David Malucas up on Road to Indy TV Live.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
We are back with Road to Indy TV Live with a fan favorite here, David Malucas. I think we're getting to know David pretty well. He keeps doing good. We just had a chat off air. He's like, man, I guess I keep going on the show because I keep winning. Our first two-time winner in Indy Lights. David, it wasn't an easy one.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
It was very stressful.
So Take me through it. I mean, I'm sitting there in hospitality watching the race going halfway through. I'm like, okay, Malucas has got this one. That was boring. Let's watch back in the other field. Then we're, 10 laps ago. I'm like, okay, it's shortening up a little, but still not to worry. My boy David's doing well. 4 laps ago, we touched the wall coming out of 14. And I go, uh-oh, this ain't good. Take me through the moments of shortening that gap.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much of a different story for me. I heard, okay, 3 seconds, head down, we got this. I'm like, sweet. I'm going through the corners, chilling, having a fun time. And all of a sudden, I get the call. 1.4, he's in push to pass. You should probably get going. And I look, and I'm like, oh, Lord. I'm like, oh, no. And the tires already were not there. So I was like, push. So that's when I was like, all right, good, let's go, kick into second gear. I'm like, let's. And then that's when I was like already on the limits everywhere. They're like, okay, that was a good lap. You matched this time. I'm like, I matched it. I was just sideways for a lap. I was like, that's what he means, matched it. And yeah, I mean, I was pushing. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, they're like, hey, you're within a second now. Like, that's like, and then they kind of got off the radio and they're like, this is all on you. And that's when I was, the tires were gone. I had no fronts, no rears. I had no brakes either. I mean, going into like 1 and 2, I was actually pumping the pedal to get something out of it. So, and I don't know if you want to explain it, but when you're driving in the car and you smash the brake, right, it pitches the car, and that actually changes the way the car's going to work. And when you can't pitch the car is very kind of center loaded, and then it just doesn't react at all.
So a common term when race car drivers talk about setup, they'll talk about rake. And no, we're not raking leaves in our front lawn. We are actually adding rear ride height to the car. Now, you'll hear static rake and dynamic rake. That's what he's talking about essentially, is the pitch in the car. When he comes into the corner, he's getting on the brakes to lift the rear up to get that rotation on entry and in the middle of the corner. Without brakes, kind of tough to do that.
Yeah, and then, I mean, that would just messes up the whole setup. I mean, coming into the corner, I'm just dead stick and getting understeer and then oversteer. And then I just see Kyle just, I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. But yeah, as you saw, I mean, I was pushing the limit.
Yeah.
We talked earlier a couple hours ago before this race, and we were talking about I was behind you, and I remember watching you, and you're like scraping walls and everything. So actually during that race, and I was like, that's it. I'm Parker Thompson now. I'm scraping walls. I'm like, I gotta be pushing now. And so thankfully, I mean, I hit those walls and I came out of them, and people kept asking me, how did you feel when you hit the wall? And I was like, honestly, I was already worried about the next one. I was like, that's it. I'm like, but it felt good. I mean, I was on the limit.
You were on the limit.
Yes.
So something I want to note, it's so funny to see a driver behind their helmet and then a driver in an interview.
Yeah.
I watched you win the race, right? And you drove your butt off.
Yes.
I know what it's like, those closing stages.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you probably, the last 3 laps, I think you did white wall all your tires.
Yes.
It was that close to the wall.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
You crossed the line. I don't even see you put your hands off the wheel. You crossed the line, and you drove by the fan, didn't wave to anybody. I don't know if you were in awe, but you are the most you're the most excitable driver in the booth, but you're the most calm driver when you win. I would have went nuts. I would have been doing donuts in turn 1. I would have been waving to the fans, fist pumping, and you just looked like it was another day in the office.
No, it was not. Well, I didn't wave anything here because I was on the radio talking to the team.
Okay.
I was screaming on the mic. That's what I was doing. I was just like, Rah! But no, I mean, definitely when I'm on track, it's definitely a different story once I'm off the track, because you never know. You know, it's like I have no expectations, because when you have expectations, that's when you make yourself feel down. You know. So actually, a joke that we have in the team is that we got top 10. Every time we get top 10. So we're on a really consistent, out of all these forces, we got top 10 every time. So
that is a very interesting thing. You know, that just shows how mental racing is, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a guy that's dominating Indy Lights races that actually won't set the bar for expectations just so that he won't set a trap in his mind.
Exactly.
And get down on yourself. It's really interesting.
I've been there, and it really kills. When you set an expectation and you don't reach it, I mean, it hurts, and that affects you for the rest of the season. So I've learned to, and that's part of, maturity. Now that I'm 19, I never set any expectations. If I get 10th or 1st, whatever, it was great. We got points, and that's kind of how we go through with it.
Now that I'm 19, ladies and gentlemen, he is wise beyond his years. That is unbelievable. Even just that statement of you telling me that, you taught me something on the broadcast, which is pretty awesome. I got to start. Not only did you teach me how to set a track record before the race, you taught me how to set expectations after the race. So pretty awesome.
Well, no, you were my idol. You were my idol when I was going through that. I was like, Parker Thompson, yeah, Thompson, I want to be him. So and then we raced here on Indy Pro. So I mean, yeah, it's like I'm looking up to my, what I want to be.
I appreciate that a lot. So we'll close it with, what is the communication like between you and Yancey in that last final stages of the race? I know they said they went radio silent.
Yep.
What was radio silence like? Was it really not telling you anything? And did you know how many push-to-passes Kyle had behind you?
Yeah, it was a loud silence. That's how I'd like to explain it. It was silent, but I could feel Luke in the stands. I could feel Yancey and the team up on the pit lane. I could feel the intensity and the stress, and even in their voice, before they went radio silent, they're giving me the Gab 9.8. You can tell it was very nervous, and that's when I was kind of like, all right, I need to put my head down. The team really wants this, and that just helped me to drive it even more. But yeah, no, it was, like I said, a very loud silence.
A loud silence. We'll switch gears a little bit. Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Grand Prix is coming up on May 13th through 15th. Yep. What are the goals for that weekend? And I know we just talked about expectations.
Top 10.
Perfect. No, leave it at that.
Yeah,
I think that's.
I'm leaving it at that. I just, I know I'm just excited for it because it's close to home. I get to come in early. I mean, our team is based there now. So yeah, I mean, I love Indy. It's a beautiful track, and I mean, I can't wait. I'm going to be there more for the atmosphere. But yeah, top 10.
Well, David, I think I speak for all the Road to Indy fans when we say we hope we speak to you more up here on the Cooper Tire stage after races. It's been an absolute pleasure. And for all of the Road to Indy live TV fans, thank you so much for tuning in this weekend in sunny Florida for the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. We look forward to bringing you more action May 13th through 15th on Road to Indy TV Live for all 3 rungs of the Road to Indy.
Thank you. Bye.